Can you guys imagine what would happen if people were failing on the carnivore diet the way vegans are on the vegan diet? And maybe one day it will happen, I don't know. But can you imagine what these vegans would do dancing on the carnivore diet grave? I mean, the carnivore diet has a slight dip after a huge explosion on Google Trends, and Goji Man has a freaking orgasm. Goji Man the prophet. Like he has any clue what's going on. He can't even figure his own shit out. Come on, man. Anyway, let's talk about this vegan house of cards crumbling down right before our eyes. Again and again and again, and these clowns trying to prop it back up. You guys need to give it up, man. The jig is up. Just because there's an influx of new suckers born every day that you're able to fool for a few months, maybe a couple of years here and there, that doesn't make you ethical, bitch. Anyway, you see what's going on. Let's go.
I literally went from suffering to thriving. Most of you know that I have been experiencing health symptoms, health struggles that have been progressively getting worse over the years. I was experiencing symptoms that were a result of my external environment, which had toxic mold in it.
Progressively getting worse over the years. That should be in the definition of what the vegan diet is. Seriously. Yes, there was some toxic mold issues with raw alignment, Elise. Let's see what you have to say about that. Exactly. So that none of you freaking clowns can come over here and blame mold for the travesty that is the vegan diet.
And some of the symptoms that I was experiencing, as I said, progressively getting worse over the past couple of years, were migraine headaches, chronic sinus congestion. Essentially, I could not breathe out of my nose at all. Brain fog, memory loss, appetite loss, extreme appetite loss, inability to articulate myself and communicate properly. Those were like the bulk of my symptoms, and they were really impacting my daily life significantly. So most of these things
could be due to mold, no doubt. Maybe even all of them. They could, but let's keep listening, all right, vegans? Let's keep paying attention. Listen before you speak, clown.
As I said, were related to my external environment. But what I realized as time went on, as I was trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with me, I started to realize that my internal environment, that the food that I consumed could kind of turn on or turn off the intensity of these symptoms.
Uh-huh. So, yes, obviously mold was a big problem for Elise, but she noticed that depending on what she ate, her symptoms got better or worse. I mean, if you're eating a nutrient-deficient diet, for starters, obviously you're going to be more susceptible to disease, pathogens, mold, whatever, right? Of course.
So I moved from Hawaii to Colorado, which is where I am now. And within a couple of days, my sinuses and my head pressure and face pressure and congestion was less intense. Basically, right after that, I dove into a vegan mold diet and supplement protocol.
So simply moving out of her moldy environment into a dry one helped to alleviate a lot of the symptoms, right? But not all of them, obviously, because she went on a mold diet, a vegan mold diet. What's with these names for these diets? It just sounds like you're eating mold, right? Or a SIBO diet sounds like it causes SIBO. Veganism, well, is a SIBO diet, maybe even the mold diet. I mean, check this out. Now, I'm no culinary expert or anything like that, but it seems to me that the sort of mold that grows on animal food tends to be safer to eat, or is completely safe to eat, versus if you get some plant foods moldy, maybe not all of them. I'm not saying this is absolute or there are no exceptions here, but we eat moldy cheese and it's fine. There's people eating moldy meat. I wouldn't recommend that, but they're out there doing it and they're fine. But try to eat some moldy sauerkraut like I did, and if you're vegan and you've been vegan for a long time, you'll probably die. Meat saved my life. I am convinced of it.
Which also improved the way that I was feeling quite quickly. I would say within a couple of weeks, my congestion was so much less. I could usually always breathe out of my nose. And then within a couple of months, my congestion was gone. But 8 months into this protocol, I felt way, way, way better, but I still felt like my brain was just like off. Like it wasn't functioning properly. I didn't feel like myself. I still didn't feel like I could articulate myself and convey myself and like connect creatively, or like I just felt like my cognitive function was like lacking significantly.
So the whole food plant-based diet, I'm assuming here that's what she ate, most likely, especially a targeted one for a certain problem, let's say, where you get to tweak the macro micronutrients and specifically the kinds of foods you eat, seems to be beneficial to a point when it comes to certain problems, diseases, conditions, right? However, it's not the best one, right? It's not the optimal one. We're finding this out over and over and over again with these case studies, scientific experiments that these dedicated whole food, plant-based vegans are running on their bodies, all right?
So naturally, I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I became even more passionate about dietary choices and lifestyle choices that can basically enhance the brain. I just like became fascinated with all of this and determined to figure out how I could get my brain working again. And some of the common things that kept coming up in my research was salmon and grass-fed beef.
Poison!
When I went vegan 5 years ago at this point, my health was so bad. Like I was eating the standard American diet and processed food. And when I went vegan, everything changed.
Well, there you go. Isn't this what everybody that knows anything about anything's been saying about the vegan or whole food plant-based diet? Yeah, if you eat nothing but shit or mostly shit and you eliminate some of that shit and replace it with less shitty shit, of course you're going to feel better.
And I think that this is a common theme in the vegan community, is that a lot of us have gone vegan coming from a really shit diet.
While changing your lifestyle completely, starting to exercise, right? Quitting smoking and drinking, so on and so forth. Stopping drugs, as in the case of Goji Man, right? This dude lives a life of partying, right? Doing all kinds of drugs, as he himself admits. No doubt drinking, smoking, who knows what else, right? Not eating right. Then he goes on his vegan diet and, well, still looks like a fucking drug addict.
And so cutting a lot of crap out and replacing it with plant food allowed for so many benefits. A lot of my friends from Hawaii were sharing with me that they had recently changed their diet, and within a few days or a couple of weeks max, they were experiencing insane positive transformation.
So she's doing research, right? She's looking at all these other people and they're experiencing major benefits getting off the death diet. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
With all sorts of different health struggles, like digestive stuff, brain stuff, memory, like physical rashes, like all sorts of things.
Notice how digestive stuff came up first. Why? Because it's the biggest problem for the human carnivore eating an herbivorous diet. Duh.
I just kind of said, you know what, I will give it 1 week. I will try anything for 1 week, even if it's hard, even if it is something that doesn't fully align with my morals. I will try anything right now.
She's absolutely desperate at this point. I think she's about to cry.
Because I'm suffering. I've heard a couple of people in the past, 6 months or so, say that they would never, ever, ever go back, even if they were struggling with health. And I honestly feel it's quite naive to share that. But until you are in a place of deep suffering, physically or mentally or emotionally, it's really hard to say that you would never do something.
This is what gets me too, man. You got all these vegan honeymooners, people who just switched to the vegan diet, cutting out all the drugs and shit food, right? So they're experiencing some benefits. They're feeling better than they have in recent past. But they haven't been where Elise has been, or people like her, right? Years on the vegan diet, trying to deal with other health issues that will arise no matter what diet you eat, right? While on the vegan diet, nutrient deficient diet that makes you weak and susceptible to diseases. Yeah? They haven't dealt with any of that. They just started eating this diet. Maybe they're 2 years into it and still in that honeymoon period. Those are the people that are so vicious in judging people who have done things they have not. You haven't been where these people have been. How do you even dare to have an opinion? And even if you did or had been on the vegan diet as long as these people say they have. So, you're not them, dipshit. Get off of your high horse.
Unless you are at that point. That's what it felt like for me, at least. I had strong faith that I could get everything that I needed on a plant-based vegan diet.
Strong faith that I could get everything that I needed on the plant-based religion.
But I decided to try something for 1 week. I tried salmon. I had 8 ounces of salmon one night, and I woke up the next morning with 0 congestion.
Immediate results. What did Tim Sheaf say? Exact same thing. I tried some salmon and I had a wet dream. She ate some salmon and eggs, who knows what else, and all of a sudden she realized, that's coming in just a second, that she had a sex drive. Come on, man. How are these signals, especially the fact that they're the same signals from similar people, how are you just going to ignore those, limp dick? How? Anyway, I forgot to say something about the mold diet that she was on. Look, what is that? What is this mold diet? It's a low-carb diet. So, if you have mold poisoning and the doctors are telling you to limit your carbohydrate intake, why might that be? Is it because carbs or sugar feed molds? Is this perhaps why plant foods, which are richer in carbs than animal foods, is that perhaps why you really shouldn't be eating them moldy, but you could tolerate at least some moldy cheeses, meats, or whatever? Probably. So if a low-carb diet is the so-called mold diet, a diet that will help you deal with mold poisoning, and that's a better diet, that's a good diet for dealing with this condition, what is the best diet for dealing with this condition, huh? Zero-carb diet. Any idea what that is? That's right. The carnivore diet. So, time and time and time again. And I'm not saying that there aren't external factors at play here, because clearly there are those present here. Yeah? But that's life. Okay? There's always going to be pathogens, molds, all kinds of shit trying to attack you, right? And eat your ass, basically. That's just life. But taking that into account and the food that you're eating, these vegans, time and time and time again, believing that they're somehow herbivores, start eating all these goddamn plants they shouldn't be, run into all kinds of health issues, right? For which the best solution, insofar as diet is concerned, is the carnivore diet. But there's still people running around there saying that we are herbivores. Are you out your goddamn mind? Seriously, are you out of your goddamn mind? All these problems caused by, exacerbated by plants, solved by, in conjunction with other treatments, solved by animal products. Yep, we're herbivores. Fuck out of here.
And 0 brain fog, 0 migraine, 0 lack of clarity. I felt the best that I had in probably like 3 years.
She went from damn near crying, tears in her eyes, not exactly rolling down her cheeks, but definitely a lot more genuine from where I'm standing than Ravana, right? You could see that she was accessing her memory bank, revisiting those times, and it made her cry. And then she recalls eating fish, and she just lights up. It's like a completely different person, literally right in front of you, reliving exactly that which she experienced when reintroducing animal products into her diet. Exactly the same thing that people like Tim Sheaf and others have experienced. But we're just going to ignore that, right? I mean, vegan diet, problems. Getting off the vegan diet, problems gone. Yep, we should all be eating a vegan diet. Like, what is the matter with these people out there? Studies? You want to cite me some studies you never read? Why? But if any of you vegans are listening, and I keep asking, and none of y'all want to step up, pussies, if you got these studies that prove something about the vegan diet being so beneficial for the human species, bring them and let's discuss live. You won't, because they don't exist. But yeah, if you're in dire straits and your health is in bad shape because of whatever, and you go on a specific targeted, some sort of whole food plant-based diet, it is very likely that you will experience some benefit by removing the triggers that are causing your condition. Big deal. Still, as we're finding out time and time again, that is not the ultimate solution, because there's always a better one. And I'm not saying you should eat like this forever, but if you run into these problems, what is the solution? The carnivore diet. The best solution always is the carnivore diet. That's what we're finding out listening to these people. How are you just going to ignore that? I don't give a shit if you're an omnivore or you think you are. I don't give a shit if you think you should be eating a whole bunch of plants and limited amounts of animal products. Fine. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But how do you ignore this? How do you convince yourself that you're some kind of perfect omnivore that shouldn't be eating a whole bunch of meat, when these people have run into problems caused, at least in part, by plants? When the best solution to whatever condition they have at the time that is caused also by plants, exacerbated by plants, when the solution to that is eating nothing but animal products, how you gonna tell me that animal products are bad for your health? How?
And I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, how... I didn't have strong faith in this. I was just trying something, kind of like a last resort type of thing. And I literally woke up feeling fucking incredible.
She's got tears in her eyes.
And,
her voice is cracking. I mean, either she's an amazing actress or whatever. Fuck Ravana.
The people who are close to me, the people who know me really well, they sensed the difference immediately. I felt like myself again.
How do you ignore all these strong signals? Not just the things that you're feeling, that you're seeing, right? But people want to say, vegans, some of them want to say it's placebo. Oh, really? So the people around you, they're experiencing placebo too? When they're noticing these differences in you? Okay, that makes sense.
Some of the benefits that I have experienced, the number one, as I've shared so many times, is the brain. I cannot explain how myself I feel. And it has been a long fucking time, you guys.
She also looks a lot better.
I feel clear. Mentally clear. I can focus. I feel connected. I can articulate myself. I can communicate.
The vegan brain fog is real, man. Some of you clowns are in denial. Plant-based athlete, hench herbivore, those two jokers got it bad.
Without stumbling and feeling lost and zombie-like and like I'm living in this fog.
That's exactly who those two clowns are, right? Of course. So is Goji, man. I mean, come on, man. How many jump cuts do you need to make a video? Seriously. And you're reading cue cards anyway. Jeez.
That I have a sex drive now.
Okay. Sex drive. I mean, Tim Sheaf experienced the same thing, right? As I already pointed out. My brother and his wife were trying to conceive for years. Okay, they weren't vegan, but they were almost vegetarian. They believed that red meat is bad for you. They didn't eat fish. They would have chicken once in a while, right? Couldn't conceive for years. Then they started eating meat again. Bam, baby. A little bit premature because, in my humble opinion, they should have waited for her to bounce back to full health, right? Which clearly she didn't have, not being able to conceive. My wife used to work at a clinic in Oakland, and one of the departments dealt with fertility, okay? Now, she dealt with omnivorous folk, vegetarians, and vegans, all right? The majority of their clients were vegan and vegetarian. In a city where the overwhelming majority of people are omnivorous and vegans and vegetarians are a tiny minority, most of the clients in the fertility clinic being vegan and vegetarian, I mean, come on. What other strong signals are you going to ignore, vegans? High carb Hannah and her hubby are trying to conceive. Yeah? It ain't happening, is it? They gotta go to some extreme lengths, drinking some kind of potions and tonics and supplements, and they'll probably eventually succeed. Maybe. Good luck, guys. However, this is an ongoing trend, pattern in the vegan community, right? While these clowns want to sit there and cite these studies they never read about how vegans have higher testosterone levels because the other group that they compared them to were fucking smokers, drinkers, and a bunch of fucking old farts who can't get it up anymore, right? So they compare these honeymoon vegans to all these sick people and they say, look, higher testosterone level. If you're paying attention to what's actually happening, factually happening to real people in real situations, yeah? Well, vegans are having all kinds of fertility issues. Vegan men are admitting to not having a sex drive, not being able to get it up. It's happening all over the place. But cite me some fucking studies you never read. Get out of here.
I literally have never had a sex drive in my
Go brag about your photoshopped high testosterone levels, limp dick.
life. Some of you might recall a video that I shared a few months back.
She never had a sex drive in her entire life. Fully raw Christina, who's been on whatever the hell vegan diet for many, many years now, just released a video talking about how she's still a 32 or so year old virgin. Why is that? Because she's got no desire to have sex. Because her vegan diet made her, well, probably infertile. I mean, if having sex is biologically anyway, evolutionarily speaking, is supposed to be for procreation purposes, right? Don't you think your body, knowing, quote unquote, knowing that it cannot conceive right now, why would it tell you to waste energy banging when it's not going to result in anything useful, not for the body's evolutionary drive, if such a thing even exists, right? Yeah. So not only are these people infertile, the reason why they have no sex drive is, well, probably because they're infertile. And for men, I mean, they really go hand in hand, don't they?
Something titled 12 Things You Didn't Know About Me, and one of them was that I really resonate with the term or label gray asexual, which essentially means that in order to feel sexually aroused, I need to have a deep, intimate, emotional connection with someone, and I need that. Otherwise, I literally cannot feel aroused. And I resonated deeply with that because that's how I have always felt, especially in the last 4 to 5 years of my life. Like, very, 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 very low sex drive. And guys, my sex drive is unreal.
Note to self. Feed wife fish.
I also feel like my skin has been more hydrated and more like tight feeling. I kind of felt like it was starting to like wrinkle and not look so hot, but it just feels more hydrated and more like elastic.
Extreme vegan aging. Which reminds me, I have yet to make a response to hench herbivores bullshit. Complete and utter denial of how he's turned from a grape to a fucking raisin in less than 5 years on his whole food plant-based anti-aging diet. You have countless examples, is what I'm getting at, of these vegans aging very, very quickly on this diet, right? And there are mechanistic, logical explanations for why this is. And then you got people who come off the vegan diet and notice reverse aging. I mean, speaking of strong signals, right?
A muscle gain and fat loss has been like unreal. My body changed like so quickly and so rapidly, and I was working out less consistent and less hard. So that was interesting.
Then there's muscle gain. She says she's been working out less and losing body fat and gaining more muscle, which is exactly what I experienced. I don't work out. I mean, just because I do a couple of push-ups here and there, I don't consider that working out. Anyway, I don't really work out. And I was eating meat and animal products my entire life. But when I cut out the plants and I upped my protein intake from the animal kingdom, I put on muscle just cause. I lost a little bit of body fat and put on muscle just because. But talk to me about plant protein and how great. Oh, what a fucking joke, man. John Venus. He ain't gonna be vegan very long. He probably already isn't.
If we don't have our health, what the fuck do we have? Like, if we are not living at our highest potential, how can we serve the world in the highest way? And I'm fucking excited, to be honest. Like, I'm not scared to be sharing this. I'm not nervous to be sharing this because I literally went from suffering to thriving.
I never watched any of these girls' videos, but I went back and I watched one of them when she was still vegan, obviously, and my God, was she depressed. Now she's just brimming with joy, happiness, right? And sex drive. But no, let's ignore all of those very, very potent signals. Let's just ignore all of that because, well, we're saving animals. By the way, dear vegan, if you really think you're saving animals, where are they?
Consider why you do the things that you do. So please listen to yourself, do your own research, follow and pursue things that align with your values, and stay true to yourself. We are more than the food that we eat.
Can't really disagree with anything there. So you got the vegan house of cards crumbling down right before our eyes. And all these jokers in damage control. All these future ex-vegans, of course. Or never really were vegans. Eating fish on the DL, hush hush, right? Give me a break. Can you imagine what these vegans would have to say? I mean, Goji Man literally has a wet dream because the carnivore diet dips just a little bit on Google Trends after a huge explosion in popularity, right? As it often is the case with any new trend. But it's still trending strongly, and there are new videos of people trying it all the time and reporting great results, liking it. And then on the other hand, you got vegan after vegan after vegan, high-profile vegans committed to the lifestyle, their livelihood dependent on it, quitting the death diet because they cannot sustain it. Wow, you still got jokers running around trying to tell me that the standard American diet is worse than the vegan diet. Where are all these standard American dieters failing on their shit diet? And I'm not trying to prop up the standard American diet, but where are all these people failing on this diet within the first 6 months? Couple of years. I mean, it takes literally decades, half a fucking century to kill yourself with this shit standard American diet. But most people cannot sustain the vegan diet for more than a couple of years. But that's the better diet. Give me a fucking break.
Let that sink in.